I'm Randy Rohde, and I'm fascinated with entrepreneurs and small business owners. Plus, I love baseball. Every show, I sit down with a small business owner, and we discuss their running the bases of entrepreneurship. We throw the ball around on strategy, management, execution, and innovation. Plus, a little fun baseball talk. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Settle in, grab your Cracker Jacks, and you know what they say.
Play ball.
Okay. And it's a great day for a ball game. I'm Randy Rohde, and you are listening to Running the Bases with Small Businesses. And today I'm pretty excited because we actually have a local, homegrown business guy right here from the Cleveland area. And so I'm excited that he's on the show today. Craig, good to have you. So here's the guy. Boston University grad, rock star, we're going to get into that in a second, podcaster, producer, and he happens to have a local family-owned insurance agency here, which is pretty exciting. Craig Lyndall, welcome to the show, man. Before we get into that background on your 50-year-strong family insurance agency, which is incredible, we really want to first hear about your rock star days. So give us the lowdown on that. And hopefully, I don't know, do you have like a audio clip of the band, like you wailing and jamming?
Well, first of all, the rock star days, it was all in my mind, really. I got out of college and into my 20s, and I hit kind of that quarter life crisis where you work for 3 or 4 months and you're like, wait a minute. So I just pretty much am going to do this forever now. Is that right. how this goes? And so I had just had kind of one of those personal crises. I grew up as a drummer. I grew up playing in bands, and I'd long realized that it was not going to be easy to write songs on drums. So I went and I saved up $400. I bought a guitar. I started taking lessons. And soon enough, I hooked up with some other people and I had a band, and we were called The Company Line. We're all original. We have our demo and our album are still up on Spotify.
Nice. The Company Line. I got to go check that out here later today. I'll play it in the background, let my staff hear it.
And music is just one of those hobbies that, like, whether you're doing it a little or doing it a lot, you never have to put it down. Chances are, no matter what the state of your physical health, as you age, you'll be able to do it in some capacity. That's kind of what I love about it, is I get to pick it up, I put it down, I pick it up, I put it down. And maybe someday I'll get back to playing live again for people, but I'm on kind of an extended hiatus at the moment.
Well, there you go. I am going to find some music, though. I may put it in the background during the edit of the show anyway.
So I guess this means you're happy. Who am I to complain? The things that will define you, they're coming. They're coming around again.
All right, so tell us about Lyndall Insurance. So, you guys have been going strong for 50 years. That is incredible. Give us some of the background on the agency.
Yeah, so my dad got an insurance license in 1970. He started up in business for real kind of in 1971. Whether we were founded in 70 or 71, it just kind of depends. He passed the test in October of 70. So it's 2020 or 2021 will be our 50th year, depending on when you start counting. Yeah. And he started just as a single operator, going door to door, selling insurance. And the stories that he tells and the fact that, it wasn't a compulsory product for, not everybody had insurance. So you could actually walk around and find people who didn't have insurance and weren't afoul of the law. So it was a lot of sitting in people's living rooms. The insurance rates were in a phone book, a book the size of a phone book. It's just a totally different world. But, from humble beginnings, he went through all those crises of well, am I big enough to hire my first employee? And now, we've got about 30 employees and a couple locations, and my brother and I are in the business. So his success has opened the door for my brother and me.
That is incredible. That's a great story. And I bet your dad probably just has great stories probably over the course of the years of dealing with all different kinds of things. So do you guys do what I'll call, so growing up in a farm community, kind of multi-peril is what I kind of know this stuff as, but do you do life, auto, what is home? What's your guys' specialty?
Yeah, it's home, auto, business, life. We do everything but health insurance. And so, yeah, we love it. It's always been kind of relationship based. We don't have like a specific niche. Some insurance agencies do farms, and some insurance agencies only do large business. We want to be a generalist. We want to be able to do anything that happens in our community for the most part. So, from Main Street commercial storefronts and restaurants to, home and auto, umbrella, and stuff like that. We wanted to be able to help our friends and help people that we get to know. And there are a lot of insurance agencies out there that are chasing giant commercial all the time with huge risk managers and back office staff. We want to be the biggest little insurance agency, the biggest hometown insurance agency, as opposed to a big insurance agency.
Nice. Okay. So was it always thought that Craig, once he was done with the rock star days, that was going to fold into the agency, or how did you get involved?
No, I never, ever thought it was going to be in the insurance business.
I like you say ever.
Yeah. No, I wanted to go to a big city for college. Every school I applied to was in a big city. I ended up at Boston University. I kind of slowed down my schooling for some jobs as my college career moved along, and the .com crash happened just before I graduated. And so my life on the East Coast, working for .com companies and in that economy, that all disappeared. Then 9/11 happened. So that was kind of a headwind as well. So here I was. I graduated in December of 2001. I moved home very quickly, found a job working at Parker Hannifin, which was like it's a wonderful company, but it's the polar opposite of the high flying tech, exciting. Right. The tech company I worked for was on the campus of MIT. And I went from there to being back in Russell, Ohio, living with my parents for a little bit before I got an apartment, and then working at one of the biggest manufacturing companies in the world. It was a wonderful company. I learned a lot there. All of a sudden, my younger brother, joined the insurance business, and I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe it would be better to choose my coworkers and build something for ourselves. So it wasn't the insurance business which drew me. And half the time I feel like I don't even work in the insurance business today. We might as well be making widgets because kind of what I bring to the table is a lot of that big corporate management expertise. And so I probably only work about 30% of my time in like insurance issues. The rest is just general business management. It could be any company in any industry, because a lot of those issues are universal.
Good for you. So how long have you been now involved? 15 years?
13 years.
13 years?
14 years.
Okay, good. Something like good. That. At one point in my career, I actually had an office in Boston as well for a couple of years. So I will ask you this from a kind of a Bostonian background. What do you think? Dunkin Donuts or Tim Horton?
Oh, Dunkin Donuts for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Although it's there's something about when you export culture out of a region that the Dunkin Donuts just doesn't taste the same here.
It's not quite the same. So for those who may not know, you go to the East Coast and Dunkin is, we were there probably actually a very similar time frame. I was working and you were still just, having fun in college.
Although the company that I worked for up there was doing some e-business consulting with the holding company for Dunkin Donuts. And so I was there on a business development trip, and I went with them to their corporate headquarters, and their breakout room was a Dunkin Donuts. It It was the most incredible thing.
Oh, that is great. Well, Dunkin', when I moved there as well, Dunkin' was like everywhere. And this was, it was kind of like you think about coffee shops now that they're like on every corner. But I mean, this is like 20 years ago, and that's where Dunkin' was. They were absolutely on every corner. They were massive. But anyway, yes, I love Dunkin'. I think my days in Boston secured my loyalty to Dunkin' as well as my kids. They love it. All right. So very good. So 50 years. I'm sure that things have changed. I would love to have your dad. I'm sure he could tell us all different kinds of stories. I'm sure things have changed over the years, but really what I'm kind of curious about, what has stayed the same?
So, I mean, this weekend, I think a lot of people, and those who are listening to this who aren't from the Cleveland area, we had one of the most monumental rainstorms.
Oh my gosh.
That we, it's kind of like once every 25 years, you get a rainstorm like what we had. We had 4 inches of rain basically in 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
It's like billions and billions of gallons of water in a very, very short period of time. And what that means for my business and for my friends and clients is water in the basement. It means insurance claims. And the thing that hasn't changed is when people are unsure and they don't know exactly what to do next, my phone starts to ring. And so for me, it was all hands on deck on, you know what, that was Monday, right? It was the actual holiday. Yeah. It was Labor Day. So my Monday afternoon, my cell phone was ringing once every half hour or so. And it wasn't a bad thing. It's fine. Like this is why it doesn't happen every week. It doesn't happen every month. But when something big does happen, and I've got these friends and clients who've entrusted me to help them, it's very simple for me to take the unemotional approach and give them the guidance when they're in an emotional state. And I think that's really the stuff that hasn't changed. I mean, we use computers to quote, and we use computers to send you documents, and everything is technology except the relationship part. And when it comes to, they take pictures, they're documenting their claims. So a lot of the stuff on the fringes has changed, but it's the personal relationship and the communication, that stuff will never go away.
Mm-hmm. I can only imagine as an insurance guy how busy you were on Monday. And when Craig is saying, literally, for those folks who are in other parts of the country or the world, we had so much rain. I mean, it just rained and rained and rained. And thankfully, knock on wood, we did not have any water issues. But as soon as, I don't know, about 4:30, I think it kind of stopped raining. And, my dog was like cooped up all day long. And so I grabbed my son, like, let's go for a walk. And we walked down to the river down that rolls through, and it was just massively overflowing, and just the falls were crashing. I mean, I thought the bridge was going to go out. I mean, it was just, wow. It was just epic. As my son said, Dad, that is epic. Yeah. That's the word these days. Well, I love your thoughts about relationship, because I think you're right. As people, we want to do business with people, right? And it's all based around relationship. And so it doesn't matter, I think, whether it's 2020 or 1970, it doesn't matter. We may look differently. I had hair back then, but today it's still the same. So over the course of the years, and again, a lot of things have changed. I'm sure. Where do you think the industry is going in the future?
So it's really interesting, actually, and this is part of our story over the last 5 to 10 years, is that we've gotten bigger and bigger because a different kind of relationship. Usually when I'm talking relationships in the insurance business, you're thinking about me relating to clients. There's obviously me relating to my insurance companies too, because we're independent. We represent all these different companies. We have a relationship with all the companies. But one of the things that we've found to be the most valuable part of our business over the last 5 years has been being friendly with other insurance agents. And the population dynamics for every guy like my dad, who's in his 70s and has kids who can come in and take over the business, there are 10 more people, and largely men. Back when my dad started, it was a lot of men who don't have perpetuation. They don't have the next group of people coming along to take over.
They may not have an end game that they've even thought out. Yeah.
So we've kind of figured out ways to scale our business model to give these agents who want to retire and can't quite figure out how to do it or how to do so gracefully. We've given them a nice home and a nice plan, a nice way to do it without, the last thing anybody wants to do in a business like this, where they're so personally tied to it, is to just walk away or close up shop.
Right.
They want to slowly walk out the door,
right.
Reduce their hours, have a little bit of backup and redundancy. But there's a lot of ego that goes along with starting a business and running a business for a long time. So giving it up all in one fell swoop is not desirable. And so one of the things, our mergers and acquisitions have just gone through the roof over the last 5 years. And it's been really wonderful because, we end up gaining another close relationship with an insurance agent. Yeah, they may be slowing down. They may be kind of walking out the door a little bit, but it's just really kind of expanded the breadth of our client relationships. And also we feel like we get a little bit smarter every time we bring in somebody with 40, 50 years experience. Like osmosis, it's just another head, now all of a sudden we've got 10 insurance agents instead of 5. And it's been wonderful.
So your approach to that, I think, is really remarkable, because I've heard that in other industries as well. So it's not just unique to insurance and insurance agents, but
it happens a lot in dentists.
Yeah, well, in manufacturing, and especially kind of here in Ohio or Northeast Ohio. Obviously, our population is aging, and we've got all of those kind of baby boomers who have, similar to what you just described. And so there's opportunity, I think, for people such as yourself, whether it's in insurance or whether it's in manufacturing or medical or wherever, to help, I guess, that transition for those business owners. And I think you're right. Even as a business owner myself, I'm not thinking of retirement at any point soon. But, if I were, I'd absolutely be like, well, what am I going to do even? My time has been completely invested in building a company, and I don't play golf. I don't know what to do.
I recommend you start a rock band.
Oh, there we go. Well, okay. We'll see how that goes. So kind of along in the same vein of conversation, in your particular industry, is it possible for someone to start a new agency today, considering, there are big names out there. You guys run, and you'll say, well, we run a small shop in the world of insurance, but you're still large. You've got 30 people working for. Is it feasible for somebody to do kind of like what your dad did 50 years ago? Just like get your license and kind of go door to door. But in today's world, could it be done?
Yes, it can be. It's hard. So in the insurance business, you need the right company relationship. So you need the product. If you're representing a company that is just horribly uncompetitive in Ohio, and I'll name one name just because they're pulling out of the state, but like AAA Insurance. AAA, everybody knows AAA. It's a wonderful company, but they've decided to pull out of the state of Ohio as far as insurance goes. So if you tried to build your career with them, you might be kind of looking around going, uh-oh. So it is hard in that respect. Do you hook up with a State Farm or an Allstate, or do you go independent like we are and try and find 2 or 3 companies? And then you've got to perform as a salesperson. You've got to add. These companies aren't going to give you a contract if you're not going to perform and add clients. But like anything else, it's relationships. If you can build a couple of relationships with a couple of realtors or a mortgage company, there are ways to align yourself and really get started. The biggest thing about anybody who's starting this business today is you would have a completely different business model than what we have. So when my brother and I are making decisions today, we have to respect where we've come from. We have to respect where this agent who joined us has come from. We can't just say, well, this is the new technology, we're going to adopt it 100% and love it or leave it. It would give our clients whiplash. But if you were a brand new startup today, you could make a lot of decisions that your agency would look very different than ours because you don't have any of that history to grapple with.
Right.
And all your clients would come in the door knowing that this is how you operate, whether it means no phone calls. There's an agent I know who's in California and Arizona. They do not answer the phone. They only do text,
Intentionally.
email. Intentionally.
We don't do phones.
That is their business model. And whenever somebody leaves a voicemail, it has an auto text back saying, "Hey, what could we help you with?" And but that's their business model. It's not a shock to any of their clients who came in the door knowing that was how it was.
Right.
But I couldn't do that. I could never.
You couldn't invoke that now with your clients because that's not how you built your business, certainly. And knowing you, I don't think that's who you are anyway. That's probably not what you would want to do.
I would love to. I love communicating that way. I can communicate with a lot more people via text, but no, it's not the world I live in.
Yeah.
It's not the world I live in.
But wouldn't you miss as well, like Randy calling you up, Craig, I've got a problem.
I would still have those people who have my cell phone number are still going to talk to me.
Yeah.
You're never going to do away with it completely, but it would allow me to actually talk to more people.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of fun.
Well, sure, there's some efficiencies, but there are a lot of marketing agencies like myself that don't like dealing with clients, and they'd much just give me the task. We're going to do it, and and if you have to talk to me, send me an email, kind of thing. I know a lot of guys like that. For me personally, we'll get the job done, but I love talking to clients. I would rather let me just sit down. We'll strategize. We'll create the plan. Let's talk about your business. For me, I love the role of that trusted advisor, and we'll get the work done on the back end of it. Absolutely. But for me, I would not get the personal satisfaction out of being just, kind of digital communication.
The trusted advisor thing is something we both have in common because that's what every insurance agent strives to be, or at least gives lip service to strive to be, is that trusted advisor. And I'm with you. If I could, I used to say, but in the pre-COVID world, if I could schedule 5 lunches a week with somebody, with a new client every day, I would love to just do that all the time.
I would love that. I would love that. Just to go have you take me to lunch would be good. So Craig, I don't know, where are we? So we are, well, do you know what time it is here? I always throw that question out. Yes, it is time.
And it's time for the 7th inning stretch.
All right, Craig, I know you're a sports guy, and we're going to talk about that here after the 7th inning stretch. So, Craig, this is the time in the show where we just kind of change up the conversation a little bit, talk a little bit about baseball here. And my research team has done a great job. They always do a great job in kind of finding some baseball questions and topics that are related to our guests. So they did relate to me that searched they did, but they had no success in finding the Lyndall Field named sports field for Lyndall Insurance. They looked, and so I guess, do we have naming? I know in the local high school, you got a big banner down in the end zone. I just saw it the other night. But I don't think you've got the naming rights for anything, do you?
No, I wish.
No. Okay.
Maybe so, aspirational.
There we go. So kind of along those veins, local team here in town and a big, kind of a known insurance agency that probably you're competing with. Progressive. I hate to use those guys, but
we represent Progressive.
There you go. Well, there we go. So that's kind of all in the family here. All right. So here's the question. So in 2008, Progressive agreed to the naming rights for about 16 years to the Cleveland Indians stadium, or where they play, I should say. Do you have an idea of what the dollar figure was that was agreed upon for those naming rights?
16 years?
Yes.
$160 million.
Wow. I think Progressive would love to have you go in and negotiate that for them.
I was just guessing.
I doubt it. No, 50, just under 58 million, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but not too bad. So here's the real kicker. We'll really test
No wonder they can't sign Lyndall.
Yeah, exactly. When they were coming to this agreement, it was not always to be Progressive Field as it is today. There was another name that was under consideration. Do you know what that name was?
Still with Progressive, but not Progressive Field.
Well, I just throwing it out there. I'm not giving you a softball. This is baseball, baby. Fastball coming high and tight.
Progressive Park.
Oh, ding, ding, ding. Nice job. All right.
Did I
yes,
do it?
That Progressive Park. Yes, there you go. The fists up. All right. Yes, they had to like abandon that idea because evidently there's some facility in Council Bluffs, Iowa, that is called Progressive Park, and they did not want to create any kind of confusion online for that.
I mean, as a marketing guy, you got to love alliteration, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would have gone Progressive Park as well. So, yeah, very nice. But hey, Craig, nice job. Give yourself a pat on the back.
I'm feeling good.
All right, so let's get back into it.
Play ball.
You have other interests as well besides your rock star days. And folks, by the way, if you could see, so we're kind of doing this over Zoom a little bit. And so the image behind Craig is, I don't know, it looks like, I don't know if it's a keyboard, but I certainly can see a couple of guitars leaning up against a wall back there. So
yeah, it's my guitars and my guitar amps.
Yeah.
I've been pushed all into one room during COVID.
So the dream still lives, but you've got other interests. Tell us about WFNY, Waiting for Next Year. What in the world is that?
So yeah, Waiting for Next Year is a Cleveland sports blog and website. I host the podcast. I've been doing that for a long time now. So actually, technically, I was not one of the founders. 3 guys founded the site, and in the first 6 months, I jumped on and joined them. And I'm a co-owner of the website, and we've been, we had dreams, like those rock star dreams where you think you're going to make it big and play in stadiums.
Sure.
We used to have big media dreams too. We used to get credentialed and cover sporting events. And, then we all kind of had kids and families and more important titles at work. And so we had to kind of put away some of those dreams, but it's just one of those hobbies that's endured. We continue to, one of the coolest things about Waiting for Next Year are all the young writers that we bring on. They kind of cut their teeth and they end up making it bigger in much bigger places. So we're kind of like a sports writing internship, an unpaid sports writing internship. But it's been really fun. I've met a lot of great people, lifelong friends from doing that website. And it's just, it's another community that I belong to.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Why did you get involved in something like that? I mean, that's a big diversion from insurance, right?
So I've always loved to write. When I went to Boston U, I thought I was maybe going to be in the communications school and do journalism. At some point, I realized that I could always do communications. I could always write, but I should study business because I love business as well. And I kind of took it to heart. Kind of that same time period where I picked up a guitar and I started playing, I also started writing because I just love to do it. And so I started a blog. My personal blog was called filteringcraig.com. And
was that necessary?
What's that?
Is that necessary to kind of go off hook sometimes and just, it's required to filter Craig?
Yeah. I just kind of figured like, what is a blog and what is my personal blog? It's some filtered version of me.
Okay.
So I just called it Filtering Craig. And, I like to write about anything on that blog, but I found my home talking about Cleveland sports and it's something that I knew a lot about and that honestly, it was a popular subject. And anytime you can write about it's not like you're only doing it for popularity, but anytime you can write about something that brings in people to comment and brings in that community, that's the infection. That's what's infectious about writing and communicating is it might be fun to be the foremost expert on Nordic metal or something like really niche in the world. But if a community doesn't sprout up around it, it's kind of joyless. And so writing about Cleveland sports was really nice because people came out of the woodwork.
Right.
And something about the way that I communicate and write about those things led people to be pretty nice about it. It wasn't like in your face and controversial. Yeah, I just love writing about it. I love writing. I love crafting an essay. It's something I love to do.
Oh, so I have lived in a lot of different parts of the country, and I will say Cleveland, probably by far, almost. People get pretty crazy in Boston though as well. But man, sports fans in Cleveland, these guys are serious. I mean, it is. So when you say like, hey, I could talk about Cleveland sports, I mean, you've got an audience that is passionate. I mean, these guys are rabid about their Browns, the baseball, and, more recently, I guess, we've been here since, the Cavaliers have had their run. And so people have gotten excited about that as well. But just sports in general. Yeah. Cleveland is a good sports town.
And the world, I've always been a Browns first. The Browns are my first love, and the sports world does revolve around the Browns.
Yeah.
Everything starts and ends with the Browns. Yeah, yes, everybody loves all the teams, but the Browns, you could write about a Browns waiver wire pickup and it'll do more traffic than a Cavs championship post.
I know. I remember a few years ago when the Indians were having, their great win streak, if you remember that. And, you could turn on the local sports talk radio here and they would like, hey, and the Indians are trying to go for win 21 today. And, but let's talk about the Browns here. You're like, hey, wait a second. Yeah, it is a crazy
I think the team might be able to win a few more games with Josh McCown.
Yes, yeah, right.
We're talking backup quarterbacks.
So you kind of jumped into WFNY early on. What have been some of the challenges of kind of launching that brand? What were some of those obstacles, and how did you guys get over that, or still, working through?
It's really funny now that I this just occurs to me as I'm talking to you right now. But one of the challenges was being recognized by the local teams, being recognized by, the other local media. A lot of the same way where I was saying that, we in the insurance business, we've made friends with other insurance agents, people who should be our competition. The reason why Waiting for Next Year was able to endure and was able to achieve any kind of success is because we were always making friends. We didn't feel like we were competing with Cleveland.com or the local sports talk radio stations. We were making friends with those people. And, whether it was me having them on the podcast or us doing a guest article, we used to do a guest article at Cleveland.com. We've done stuff with WKYC. It was always about being friends and cross-promoting, not acting like we were or could compete with these giant established media companies. Making friends kind of wins out.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great approach to that. Any similarities between what you do with WFNY and Lyndall Insurance?
So I've been trying very hard to scratch the same kind of itch that I used to scratch with Waiting for Next Year and still do. I've been trying to do that in the insurance business. And so a lot of my content strategies, just in terms of trying to get attention to the insurance business, has been to lean on those content creation, whether it's I've been doing video podcasts with my insurance guys.
Good.
And in this case, they happen to be guys, my insurance people. But like we've got one agent, his name is David Reese, and he, other than being an insurance agent, he's like a car guy. It's like his thing. He flew down to Alabama to pick up a Pontiac that, not a super expensive car, but it was a car that he'd been looking for and he wanted to rebuild it. It's of an age where he can tinker with it and fix it and whatever else.
Not
and
a Sunbird.
No, I can't even remember. I'm so not a car guy. So yes, he can sell you insurance, but you're far more likely to enjoy your experience buying insurance from David Reese if you understand like he's a car guy, or if you're also a car guy and you've got some other basis for a relationship. So I've been using my content creation skills that I learned at Waiting for Next Year, whether it's writing or podcasting or doing video, to let people inside. I always talk about showing people inside the black box. People don't know who they're dealing with unless you tell them.
Right.
And if you're not talking about yourself, you're leaving a vacuum for people to talk about you. So I'm trying to talk about us and tell our story and not build a personality, show our personality. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, and I learned this from covering sports, especially the Indians. As much as I love the Indians, they don't talk about themselves enough, and they let everybody else talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at what the Browns are doing today, and this will play into your content strategy, in your professional life. But if you look at what the Browns do today, they have their own media team. They have 2 or 3 web TV shows. They've got content partners at Channel 5, both sports talk radio stations.
Right.
They are filling up the airwaves with all their own content, because in the past they've seen, Randy Lerner is a nice guy. It was a wonderful family, wonderful Cleveland family, but they left the vacuum.
Yep.
And they let other people fill it up, and they didn't always like the results. I feel like the Indians are the same way. If you're not talking about yourself, if you're not telling your story, you leave it to other people to tell your story, and you might not like that.
Exactly. And I think I love this concept about the vacuum, because I think that's so true. If you don't do it and you're not the one controlling the story,
and I'm not. I'm talking about being fake either.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's not about making up this perfect vision of yourself.
But you've got to be able to control the conversation, though, and if you don't, somebody else will, and it may not necessarily be in the light that you want it to be. But as well, there's tremendous value in that. I mean, I'm talking value in a pure dollars and cents value. Even you look at the Browns and what they're doing, that is unique, original content that you can put on the marketplace, because there's a passionate audience that wants to consume it. And so when you have that, you've got the ability to market that and get a return on that content. So yeah, that's great insight, I think.
It's hard to find the time, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, that's why people hire guys like me to do this stuff. What would you do differently with WFNY? Anything?
I don't know. In some ways, I wish that I would have spent more time on it. In other ways, I wish I would have spent less. Knowing where we are today and seeing the media market where it is. When we started that website and we were blogging, back when people still called it blogging, we were writing more frequently about the teams than the major media networks. But now every single one of the, WKYC has people writing every little thing that happens with the Browns. They write up, they put a headline on it. They kind of copied our business model, and we were never going to be able to compete with them. Yeah. They had TV to carry everything else. And we did it largely for free. We were kind of the disruptor,
right,
but we never figured out how to capitalize on it. So, and I always felt like we could have made it or capitalized on it without being at the expense of somebody else. But I look and I see like what The Athletic has done. And I think we could have done something like that if we really dedicated the time to it. But I mean, I can't be too sad about it, because I've got, for everything that I left on the table waiting for next year, I feel like I put on the table at Lyndall Insurance. You can't do everything.
So no regrets. You're still enjoying it.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So here we are, bottom of the ninth, Craig. What advice do you have for the rookies in the game? Those people who are just starting out or thinking about launching a business, already have a business, maybe looking for some words of wisdom from a grizzled old rock star like you.
Yeah, it's not unique, but it's the only advice that I think is universally applicable to absolutely everybody. And that's, you need self-awareness. You need self-awareness for what you're good at, what you're not good at, what kind of partners make sense for you. It's all about self-awareness. It'll save you from heartache. It'll set you up for success. But if you don't have a realistic view of who you are and what your capabilities are, you're probably headed for disaster. So I kind of think trying to take that 10,000 foot view of yourself, even though it's not really possible, you have to do that constantly, right, weekly, daily.
I like that you add on the end of that to do it constantly, because I don't know about you, but I knew a little more about you. You've gone from thinking about being rock band guy to writing, to infiltrating your writing more into what you're doing now with the insurance agency. So, we change, I guess, was the statement I'm trying to get to eventually here. People change as individuals. We change. I think sometimes our skills strengthen in some areas, and as well, we maybe that's not quite as, I might be okay at that or good at that, but I'm not really passionate about it. And so you don't pursue it as hard, maybe. But yeah, I think I love the idea about, constant introspection. Always be aware.
Yeah.
Good.
And the idea is that, as you were saying, you're not the same guy you were 20 years ago. You're not going to be the same guy 5 years from now that you are today.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you gotta keep up with yourself. You got to keep up with the outside world, but you got to keep up with yourself.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So you are doing something pretty outstanding for our audience. You are going to give away money today.
Am I? I don't remember.
Yes, you were giving away a $10 Amazon card to folks, right? Do you remember? Does that ring a bell? You were giving $1,000 away to me and my cause. No, you were going to give a Amazon gift card away.
Right. And yeah, anybody who hears this and is interested in getting to know us and trying to work with us and wants to get a quote, if you get a quote, we'll hook you up with an Amazon gift card. You don't have to buy. If you get a quote, just give us a shot. We'll show you what we can do as an independent insurance agent, quote you with all of our different carriers. We will consult with you on the level of coverage that we recommend, give you 2 or 3 good options.
And you'll still give me the money at the end as well. So I appreciate that.
It's just a marketing deal, right?
Yeah. Hey, we'll have all of Craig's information and contact and socials and agency sites and all of that in the show notes. So be sure to hit those and get in touch with Craig and take advantage.
Yeah, mention Randy in the podcast.
Of that. Yeah, absolutely. Take advantage of that great deal. Listen, Craig, it's been great getting to know you. And thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I appreciate the sports angle. It really plays into my wheelhouse. So thanks so much for thinking of me.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we like to say, that's the ball game. And thanks for joining us today. So if you enjoyed our show, hey, tell your friends, subscribe and review. And of course, we'll see you around the ballpark. Running the Bases with Small Businesses is brought to you by 38 Digital Market, a digital marketing agency committed to client growth with lead generation, higher conversions, and increased sales. Connect with us today at 38digitalmarket.com.